When people think of Armstrong, one of the first things they might think of is cheese. And fair enough, the community has a rich history of cheese making. And while the big production stopped years ago, after more than 100 years of operation, the name lives on as a legacy on supermarket shelves. Agriculture and ranching continue to be big parts of the Armstrong economy, along with forestry. And don't forget the Interior Provincial Exhibition, which attracts more than 150,000 attendees each year. In recent years, the community has been in the news for perhaps the wrong reasons. Big city crime and a possible school closure have made headlines. Looking ahead, managing growth with ALR lands is a high percentage, and maintaining services could present challenges. Joining us today on Up Front is Armstrong Mayor Chris Pieper. Chris Pieper was first elected to Armstrong City Council as alderman in 1989 and continued to serve successive terms until a break in 2000. He was elected as councillor in 2003 and served 2 3-year terms. He was successfully elected as mayor in November 2008 and acclaimed as mayor in 11 and 14. And welcome to Up Front. Joining us today is Armstrong Mayor Chris Pieper, and thank you for taking the time and driving down here to our studio in Kelowna to join us.
It's always a pleasant drive to come down to Kelowna. It's even better to go home
Even
sometimes.
in winter.
Even in winter, it's nice. You got a lot less snow than we have.
That's right. All right, let's get back into a little bit about your career in politics, I guess. Going back to, you've been a councillor for 17 years, 2-term mayor. Maybe go back to your decision to sort of, why did you want to do that?
Well, I think in a small town, I grew up there, and you get a passion for it. And when I first decided to become a councillor, it was through a by-election and sitting in a hockey tournament with the then mayor, and he said, "You should join us." And I put my name in, and the rest is history. And I was very involved in the community anyhow before that. So,
is there a passion there for you doing this and
been
seeing
the
changes?
It's been a real passion. I mean, there's so many good things that happen, and most of the time they aren't reported, but to be able to work with volunteers and to see your community prosper and grow and be positive about the whole environment is pretty good feeling most of the time.
As a mayor, what excites you the most?
It excites me. Wow. Sometimes politics is excitement. There's lots of excitement, but for the wrong reasons. Yeah. So, but basically, your community, our community has grown quite a bit, and we have lots of small facilities. And as you see the volunteers, we have a tremendous volunteer base in all of our different groups. And working with them, their pride to make the community better makes you humble and work harder for your own community.
Has anything really surprised you at all during those 2 terms?
Surprised me? Well, I think just recognizing the amount of volunteer work. Like when you look at the IPE, you look at our local healthcare society members, you look at the Rotary, the Kinsmen, the Lions, the ladies groups. They're all there to help our community grow and prosper. And once you realize how much they do for the community, it's unbelievable.
Is popularity a thing for you? Does it matter? Do you care?
Well, I think everybody wants to be popular.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really go with being mayor very often. So
No.
You have to make decisions for the best of the community and not for what you want to happen, because once you start going that way, it's a pretty sharp spiral downhill.
Yeah, and there's been challenges, of course, like in any community. What would you describe being your biggest challenge, do you think, to date?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is making our community planning for the future. We have quite a few properties, small properties within our city boundaries that are in the LR, and if we want to continue to prosper and grow and keep our schools open and keep our businesses thriving, we have to build a bit every year, and that takes care of taxation increases too, because if you can do part of your increases through growth and part through taxation, that helps every resident in the community.
Of course, you're in a bit of a unique situation, being almost a community within a community, and with
We are.
Yeah. How does that present itself? Is it challenging?
There's challenges, definitely. There's been real struggles right back in history. But I think respecting each other, respecting what the farmers want in the municipality smell machine and the residents want, and being able to sit down at the table and take it in as one community. It can be two local governments, but it's still one community, because all the kids go to school in Armstrong, all of the kids that play hockey in Armstrong, and they shop in Armstrong, and but all the food that comes from the farms comes in, and you know, I mean, we're really integrated into the two communities. So having them share our fire department, our parks and rec, and at the end of life, we only have one cemetery, and everybody ends up in the same place. So it's one community and two local governments.
All right, well, throughout today's program, we're going to take some questions from some viewers. So we have one today for you from Armstrong.
My name is Ralph. I was just wondering how family life changed for you after you took the chair.
Well, when I first went on council, my kids were involved in the local community. They were in minor hockey, they were in baseball, I was busy at work, my wife was working, so our household was extremely busy. And spending 16 or 17 years on council, it's a small community, so it definitely is a part-time job being councillor. As time grows and I went on to become mayor, my kids were growing up and left home. It was just my wife and I at home, and really the commitment to be mayor is substantially higher than council.
Does your phone ring off the hook?
It rings a bit, yes,
Yeah.
and there is an answering machine on it, so that's good. But being a mayor in any community is a full-time commitment, and whether it's a part-time job or a full-time job, you're always mayor, 24/7. And whether you're at the hockey game or the baseball game or the restaurant, you're a fair target.
When you step outside the community, the UBCM, for example, or something like that, would you consider yourself an outspoken mayor? Are you one of the guys that likes to get up and say, we really got to look at this?
Generally not.
Okay.
Throughout my life, I've learned a lot more listening than talking. So
fair enough.
I can debate issues with anybody, but I really like to research before you start talking, and it usually you're in a lot better position at the end of the day.
All right, well, we'll take a short break right now and come back and talk about some of the issues facing Armstrong. Welcome back to Upfront with Armstrong Mayor Chris Pieper. We're going to talk a little bit about issues in this segment, and I guess we'll start with your opinion as being, what are the top issues facing Armstrong right now?
Our community is 104 years old, so there's definitely some older infrastructure. So small communities depend on upper government grants to help us. If we can get shared funding, that's where we go. Each year we try to do a small infrastructure program. And we're planning one for this year, and we've got one in the books for next year. But, you know, they're in the $500,000 world, so if we can get a little bit of revenue from the senior governments, that really helps.
Yeah. Let's talk about the cost of living in Armstrong, because it's a topic everywhere, for the most part, across Canada. To someone in Vancouver or Kelowna, it might be an affordable community, but for a lot of people, it still may be expensive for a house that's, say, $350,000, $400,000.
$350 will get you a nice older home on a small lot. Newer homes are 400 plus, depending on the thickness of the granite countertops. But you really, is it affordable? It's market housing is what it is. It's cheaper than some places, and there's other communities that have housing that is more affordable. Rentals are a real problem in Armstrong. We don't have many rentals. But I think affordable housing is a nationwide North America problem for especially young people. They have, if they don't have parents' help, sometimes they have a real struggle.
Yeah, and when you looked at your demographics, you were showing me before the show that the smallest group would be that the 20 to 25 sort of age grade.
Yeah, 20 to 30 have a real struggle, because the salaries don't match what they have to spend to get into housing. So a lot of people end up going up north to get a start, and then they end up coming back. And I've got a son and a daughter working up north, and it's to get started. They couldn't make enough money down here.
Is the community doing anything to attract people in that age range?
Well, I think the computerized world, you know, with home-based businesses and stuff like that, are helping people. Our community has got fiber optics wired all through it now over the last 5 years, so that'll help that kind of an industry. We don't have industrial land in our community. We've got 1% of our taxation is industrials.
Right.
But however, SPAL has the industrial park, so we're the bedroom for the SPAL Machine Industrial Park and stuff like that.
I want to talk about a favorite topic in municipalities or anywhere, taxes.
Yeah.
Your community was able to hold the line in 2016. How does 2017 look so far?
I think when we do our taxes, we try to stay within the cost of living. We have to have an increase because the cost of living for you personally or me personally is the same as the community. You know, our costs are going up. So if we can retain the cost of living increase or very close to it, that's what our goal is. We also, being a small community, we can afford a lot of little public works, like we snowplow all the sidewalks. You know, this last month on global television in the bigger cities, you see fines and people trying to clean their sidewalks. We do that. And we sweep the sidewalks in the spring. So they're good. We have a tremendous amount of older demographic people that love walking. Our sidewalks are full all the time. And I'm not sure if it's the dog walking the person or the person walking the dog, but they're very well used and appreciated. So that's as important as our road.
Another issue that's big in Armstrong, of course, would be the water. And your community, since the shift to metered water, you've seen a reduction in the use, and that's probably a good thing to some degree, but you've also seen, I guess, your revenues drop as a result of that.
What we've done is from 2010 to 2016, we've probably dropped about 25% consumption, even after including our growth. And that is strictly to water meters, people being aware of what they're using. So what we've done is put the meters in, and then we did mock billing for a couple of years to show people what they were using. And last year was the first year of actual billing. And once again, water consumption dropped again. Our water is very economical. We have a $110 parcel tax per year, and the average water bill is between $100 and $150 a year. So it's very economical. Our general people were paying $150 a year for water. When we went to billing, it dropped to $112. So we have to be around that $140 to $150
Seems
a year.
pretty reasonable.
Which is very reasonable, but it's still going to show an increase. They saved money last year, but it's going to come back to normal because we will save a bit in operational costs, but in chlorine and UV treatment and treating, but we still have the same transportation costs and stuff like that for less water.
All right, well, we'll take another break right now and come back with Upfront with Armstrong Mayor Chris Pieper. Welcome back to Upfront with Armstrong Mayor Chris Pieper, and we want to talk a little bit about the potential closure of an elementary school in Armstrong, which caused a lot of grief for the citizens. I guess you probably heard loud and clear from some of the parents regarding a letter that was sent. Do you think now that the school, it looks like it's going to stay, but do you think things have smoothed over between, I guess, yourself and some of these parents?
Well, I think it was a tremendously passion-driven emotional reaction to the school board announcing that. And I think people are very aware of of our demographics right now being fairly senior. We have to attract young families. There's probably in excess in the 4 schools in Armstrong of 300 empty seats. So the problem is put on hold for a while. But there's still a serious issue with that many empty seats in the 4 schools. So and it's how you do it and how you address it. And I think there's opportunities to work with the community and the school board when they get reinstated to really make it a viable operation. Yeah. School boards have to run like a business, and they had a lot of internal problems, which everybody's aware of. And when Mike McKay came in for the Ministry of Education, the communication with the school district, with every municipality, is really increased. And I think all communities are more involved, not only Armstrong, with the operation of schools than they were before.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about crime in your community. Are you seeing an increase, do you think? Are you seeing, we have seen some what we would maybe call big city crime in Armstrong over the years?
Yeah. We've, what we have is little spikes of crime. Like, I don't want to call it petty crime because it's not. When people break and enter, whether it's into your car or your home, that's serious. Yeah. But we'll see 10 instances in a week, and then the police will catch the guy. And then it goes down to basically nothing. Yeah. But the stats still show it. We had a very serious one 5 years ago when Taylor Van Diest was murdered, and that really shook our community. It shook it right to the roots, and how that could happen in a small community. But I know I had a term back 5 years ago, and where I said we lost our innocence in that case, and the RCMP did a fantastic job in finally solving the case, and but it really did hurt and shake up, and everybody knew it. They'd been there for a long time, and it was very traumatic. Yeah.
Well, let's shift gears again a little bit on the economy, farming, ranching, forestry, the traditional industries there. How do you guys try to encourage that to maintain continued growth, for example?
Well, Armstrong is the core of a part of the regional district, part of Spell-Machine, or surrounded by Spell-Machine, and we really look at Armstrong being the service center. I mean, we don't have big farms, we don't have sawmills, we don't have anything like that in our small community. They are in Spell-Machine or in the regional district, so we really focus on being a service center for all of the growth, and it's very important. People can live in Armstrong and work out. So
and you touched on clean industries a little while ago, and how important is that kind of growth in that type of area? Would you like to see? Tourism would be another example.
Well, I think tourism is a good one. We've really worked with the Chamber on tourism. The IPE is well known Western Canada wide. We bring 150,000 people into Armstrong in the year, and that is
that's phenomenal.
That is unbelievable how a town can host, a 5,000 can host 150 over 4 days. But we do it somehow. But it's 118 years old, so we've grown into it, and Armstrong is chaos for a few days. So.
And when we talk about Armstrong, we must mention the cheese, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
cheese.
Everybody loves cheese, or at least it seems that way. And you know, and the name continues. You know, you can still buy it in the superstores, but of course, it's just not made there. Do you think we'll ever see those days again, where a lot of cheese made there, or is it just simply artisan, smaller operations now?
I think we're into the artisan world. I think the dairy industry has gone a lot like the forest industry, where they have big centers that make the commercial type cheese, you know, and
so it's just shipped off to say
which is
Abbotsford
shipped
or
off
something.
to the coast or to Alberta and made. It's very nice to get the recognition for Armstrong cheese, because no matter where I go in Canada, people talk about Armstrong cheese, and they always say they're going to come and see it. And I said, well, we don't make it in Armstrong anymore. We grow it there in dairy herds, but that's about it. So, but we do have small artisan cheese factories. And between Lumbee and Salmon Arm, there's lots of them growing up, but they're 2 or 3 person operations, and they make a select cheese. And we celebrate that every year now in our cheese, wine, and chocolate festival we hold in the fall. That sells out every year. It was a Centennial Project initiative, and very, very popular.
All right, well, we have one more question from one of our viewers in Armstrong.
Hi, my name is George, and I'm just wondering why Metal Fest is so important to Armstrong.
You don't think of Armstrong as being a heavy metal factory or that type of thing, but
You don't, but we have facilities for events like that. And I remember the very first year the proposal was made to us and we all went like this.
yeah.
But, the organizing committee did an outstanding job to make it work. And they started small and they've got bigger and bigger, and it's their 8th or 9th year now.
Yeah.
And it's a local person running it. It's indoor, it's controlled, and they have camping on the grounds, so there's no extracurricular activities on the highways.
Right.
And it's turned out to be a fantastic event for our community. The businesses do well downtown because they go to restaurants, they
Yep.
buy the stuff and buy groceries, and
Yeah.
great event.
Well, you got several going on in Armstrong. We'll take another short break and come right back with Armstrong Mayor Chris Pieper. Welcome back to Upfront with Armstrong Mayor Chris Pieper, and we're going to talk a little bit now about projects and future ambitions for your community. Is there a significant project right now that's underway, or is it more of a series of smaller projects?
It's planning for the future more right now. We've, in the last 10 years, we've built a new arena, a new swimming pool, we've redone our fire hall. So the main cores have been done. And now we're looking at planning for the future, slow growth, doing our water master plan, our sewer master plan, to make sure that we are ready and for increased population, which we all know will happen in the Okanagan. There's no doubt about that.
When we asked the mayor of Enderby what would he like to see as something in his community, he said a hotel.
Yeah.
Is there something like that that you would like to see in Armstrong, whether it would be a hotel or something else?
Well, it's talked about all the time in Armstrong to get a new hotel, because the people that play minor hockey tournaments, that come to town at the fairgrounds for all the different events.
Yeah.
We have one small hotel, or motel, and it's, but what we have
So you have,
in
the
our
same, you have
neighbor,
the same wish basically as in
I'd love to have one, but
Yeah.
Vernon's 15 minutes away,
True.
and there's a lot of advantages of being close to Vernon,
Yeah.
but that's not one of them.
Yeah.
And so we can wish for it, but we would need somebody with a very economical drive, and we would facilitate it. But everything has to have a good business plan. And I might sound a bit negative, but I'd love to see it, but I don't know if it'll work with Vernon being so close.
Is there anything that you would unequivocally say no to? I know in the past you've said no to a prison and are currently saying no to marijuana dispensaries, but could that change, for example?
Well, the prison was an easy choice because the specs said it had to be on non-ALR land, and we only had 2 properties in Armstrong that were big enough, and that was the golf course and the IPE grounds, and those are out of order. So that was an easy solution.
Yep.
But going ahead, marijuana, what we did is we passed a bylaw that there would be no business licenses allowed for illegal operations. We didn't specify marijuana.
Yeah.
But we adopted that into our bylaw, so until the federal government approves marijuana, then it's not allowed in Armstrong.
Yeah. How do you make the community noticeable to tourists instead of just sort of driving by on the highway there? What would you,
Well,
is there things you can do?
there's lots of initiatives. I mean, the IPE bring in a lot every year, just for visibility. There's ball tournaments, and the grounds themselves host 20 events a year. And we're pretty well known that way, but the internet, our chamber.
The quilt barn, is that something?
The quilt trail was a new initiative by our local Chamber of Commerce, where people can walk or bike or cycle or drive through our community. They get a map, and there's a quilt, plywood quilt, mind you.
Yeah.
And they're all painted by volunteers recognizing different farms in our community. We have 2 quilting schools in Armstrong.
Wow.
How many people know about those? You know? And they're busy. They're really busy. So they bring people in for 3 or 4 days for quilting lessons.
Okay. Let's talk about the changes you've seen over the years, maybe good and bad, I guess. Maybe just highlight those for us.
Well, growth sometimes is not looked at as positive, and where you have to plan it, control it, and you have to have growth, otherwise everybody leaves. And I know when I go to reunions in the prairies in the summer and you see small towns, they're that have closed down, and that really hurts me. So I think we really have to be progressive, be well-planned, and go forward to our next generation.
Is there anything pie in the sky or anything you'd like to see at Armstrong? I know I asked you about
saw,
the hotel. But
I saw your question.
Yeah.
So if a pie in the sky thing, if I had my choice, I would like to win a big lottery and build a castle in Armstrong. And the reason
For the mayor?
Not for the mayor,
No.
but for our community.
Okay.
I've traveled in Europe, and you go to Germany or Italy or England or Wales or Ireland, and everybody's got castles.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty nice. We have a very European base in our Okanagan, so I think they'd love to see a castle, and it would
tourist
draw
attraction
people.
kind of thing? Or?
It'd be a tourist attraction.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you on. And that basically wraps up this edition of Upfront.